So, as you are all no doubt aware, it is wesking time. I don't know why I said that. I've seen that go around, I thought it'd be cool. Anyway, for those of you that don't know, the brand new PTB has just dropped, giving us our first taste and our first proper look at the brand new Resident Evil chapter, Project W, which has Wesker, the Mastermind, as the killer, and with Rebecca Chambers and Ada Wong as the survivors. But in this video today, we're going to be covering absolutely everything you need to know about the Mastermind, including his power, his perks, his add-ons, and what he is like in-game. Now, I'm not going to get into how strong I think he is or anything like that. That'll probably come in a future video. This is just for the basics to understand this killer. So, it's a fairly simple premise. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and don't forget to follow me on Twitch as well, where I am live 5 days a week. But, without further ado, let's get into Wesker. Wait, that sounded wrong. Let's just study it. Let's go. There he is, the Mastermind. Difficulty, moderate. Albert Wesker is a brilliant and ruthless mastermind infused with the power of Roberos. His personal perks, Superior Anatomy, Awakened Awareness, and Terminus allow you to vault faster, see other survivors' auras whilst carrying one, and cause survivors to be permanently broken when the exit gates are powered. The Mastermind's power is Virulent Bound. The Mastermind can barrel forwards, infecting survivors with the Roberos virus and leaping over obstacles. Press and hold the power button to charge a bound attack. Whilst charging, the Mastermind moves slightly slower as he prepares his strike. When charged, press the attack button to bound. If the Mastermind hits a survivor, that survivor becomes infected or furthers their infection. Should the Mastermind crash into something during the bound, he will slam the survivor, causing damage. If not, the survivor is thrown, losing a health state if they are thrown into any solid object. If Virulent Bound hits a dropped pallet or a vault location, the Mastermind vaults over the obstacle. His special effect is the Roberos infection. Upon being hit by Virulent Bound, survivors become infected. Infected builds over time, and when fully infected, the survivor suffers from the hindered effect. If a Virulent Bound grabs and slams a survivor whilst they are fully infected, the Mastermind will automatically carry them. And special interaction, the first aid spray. At the beginning of each trial, several supply crates spawn. Each contains a first aid spray. When infected, a survivor can use the first aid spray on themselves or another, removing the infection. Each first aid spray has a set number of charges. So basically exactly like Nemesis's injections, except you can use them on other people as well. So yeah, bit of Nemesis, which makes sense because he's from Resident Evil. They're going to have to kind of, with viruses and infections mixing, it's, you know, they've got to have some similarities. But so far, I quite like the idea of his power. It sounds like a lot of fun. And he's super creepy, especially with his little Right then, so his first teachable perk is Awakened Awareness. Your genes have been altered to heighten your senses in intense situations. When carrying a survivor, you see the aura of other survivors within 20 meters of your position. Auras revealed that way stay visible for 2 seconds after you stop carrying. So this is going to be fantastic for Mad Grit and the kind of meme build, but with 20 meters is actually pretty decent. So, being able to potentially get into chases as soon as you've hooked by knowing the general location of somebody who's trying to stay close, this perk could be okay. Right then, his second perk is Superior Anatomy. Decades of research have culminated in you, something faster, stronger, and more dangerous than any human. When a survivor performs a fast vault within 8 meters of you, this perk activates. The next time you vault a window, your vaulting speed is increased by 40%. And this perk has a cooldown of 30 seconds. This is going to be disgusting on Legion. Can you imagine how strong that's going to be on Legion in Frenzy if that works? The speed. You put on Fire Up, Bamboozle on Legion with Superior Anatomy, you're going to instantly vault through the... There's going to be no animation. Yeah, no, that sounds, again, doesn't sound the strongest, but it could be a lot more better in practice than how it sounds. 40% is a lot, so potentially at the shack, maybe. If you can get them to double back and stay at the window, you might be able to force them to drop a pallet or take a hit if you're quite lucky with it. And then finally, we have Terminus. You are a brilliant tactician who prepares for every eventuality. When exit gates are powered, the perk activates. Whilst Terminus is active, injured, bound, and hooked survivors are inflicted with the broken status effect until exit gates are open. When the exit gates are open, survivors will stay broken for an additional 30 seconds. So this is going to stop people from 99 in the gate. This perk is going to force them to open it immediately so that the broken can get undone, basically. So, not too bad. Again, might be very strong comparing it if you're doing an endgame build. Run it with No Way Out, run it with Blood Warden. Like, on Plague, this could be disgusting on Plague or Legion. If you can keep them injured, then That's going to be dirty. So Plague and Legion are going to really get some value out of Terminus, 100%. So yeah, that's his 3 perks. On the whole, I'm alright with them. None of them seem super strong, but I can't say that they seem weak either. So they're going to require some other perks to back them up, but depending on what build you go for and what killer, they could absolutely get some value. Right then, and finally, we have to go through all of these wonderful add-ons to see what they do. First add-on is the Roberos Tendril. Increases movement speed whilst charging Virulent Bound by 5%. Again, we don't know yet how much slowed you are when you charge it, so that could be good, that could be bad. Unicorn Medallion increases the initial Virulent Bound distance by 20%, but decreases the subsequent Virulent Bound distance by 20%. Okay, so it's kind of like a give and take. So one will be longer, the next will be shorter. Interesting. I don't think there's any add-on like that gives you a benefit and a negative kind of intermittently. Huh. I'm curious to see how that one would work. Next up, we have the Rpd Shield of Walkie. Decreases the initial Virulent Bound distance by 20%, but increases the subsequent Virulent Bound distance by 20%. Huh? So this one does what the Unicorn Medallion does, just the other way around. Interesting. Either way. The next is the Jewel Beetle, which decreases the Virulent Bound extension when grabbing a survivor mid-bound by 50%, but gain 100% blood points for Virulent Bound score offense. So that's basically the meme add-on. That's the one that you don't want to run. It makes you weaker, but at the cost of blood points. We can ignore that. Now, on to the yellows. We have the Loose Crank. Increases the movement speed between the first and second Virulent Bounds by 20%. I think we're going to really have to learn his power before we really understand how strong these or how weak these become, because obviously we don't know what his base does. His base might be over the fucking roof. His base might be terrible, so we will have a look. The next is the Lion Medallion, which increases the distance at which survivors are thrown by 30%. That is already going to be a good add-on. 30% can be quite a lot, I imagine, and again, on a small map, that could be really, really strong. So yeah, I'm already claiming that Lion Medallions is going to be a pretty decent add-on for him. So Leather Gloves decreases the time it takes to recharge Virulent Bound by 10%. 10% isn't a lot, but it could be okay in-game just as like a healthy little buff. Can't imagine that being too drastic. The Golden Chalice increases the Virulent Bound extension when grabbing a survivor mid-bound by 50%. That also sounds like quite a bit, so we'll have to keep our eyes on that one. That could be okay, especially when paired with the Lion Medallion. Grab them faster, throw them further, maybe, something like that. After that, we have the Bullhorn, which survivors that use the first aid spray suffer from the Oblivious status effect for 30 seconds. Ooh, now I'm a little bit nervous that he's going to have a Nemesis situation where his add-ons don't really do much to his power, but do a lot to the infection. So I really hope that they aren't filled with, oh, despawns a supply crate from the lobby or blah, 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 blah. So we'll hope that they're a bit rarer. The next is the video conference device, which increases the infection passive rate gain by 30%. So it's passive. Interesting. So unlike Nemesis, you don't have to hit to do it. Hitting will just advance it faster, but there is a passive gain once infected. Good to know. After that, we have the Red Herb. Increases the time it takes for survivors to use a third air spray by 2 seconds. Yep. Very similar to Nemesis. That probably won't do much, but we move on to the Portable Safe, which survivors injured by Virulent Bond suffer from the hemorrhage status effect until fully healed. Again, yeah, not too bad. Can't see it being overly used, but, you know, it might be better than nothing. After that, we have the Maiden Medallion. Maidenless. When a survivor becomes fully infected, they will suffer from the blindness status effect for 60 seconds. Can't see that being too good, if I'm being honest. It depends how often survivors get fully infected, and it depends how many cases are going to be in the trial and whatnot. So yeah, that doesn't fill me with too much hope. But maybe the Golden Egg, he has an actual add-on just called Egg. Love it. Increases the duration of the additional Virulent Bound window by 50%. Don't know what that means because we don't know how his power works specifically just now, but that could be good. That could be good. For the purples, we have the Roberos virus. When a survivor reaches full infection, reveal their aura for 4 seconds. Again, we'll have to see how often survivors become fully infected. If it's something like Unrio, it'll be useless, but if it happens quite often, then we might be able to get some value out of that. We have the Helicopter Stick. When a survivor uses a first aid spray, reveal their aura for 8 seconds. Again, very similar to Nemesis's infection add-ons. Not a big fan of them myself. It probably won't do too much. This will be very situational. 8 seconds might be good for the information on knowing, but probably more times than not, you're not really going to be able to do anything with that information unless you're out of a chase. I'm not too sure. Then we have the green herb, which increases the increases the rate of infection when grabbing a survivor during a virulent bound by 30%. Yeah, okay, not too bad. We're going to have to see how quickly survivors get infected. Then we have his sunglasses, the dark sunglasses. When a survivor is fully infected with the Roberos infection, you will gain undetectable for 20 seconds. Yeah, again, depends how fast they get fully infected. If it's rare, it'll be useless. And then finally, for his iridescent add-ons, we have the lab photo, which destroys pallets and breakable walls when colliding with the virulent bound, but removes the ability to vault pallets whilst using the virulent bound, which, that's a fair thing. Why would you want to vault over something that you can break? So it kind of just sounds like Blight's license tag, where you can just break the pallets with your power instead. Could be really good in chases and maybe with an anti-pallet build, like Enduring, Spirit Fury kind of thing. But we're just going to have to see how effective he is at actually vaulting pallets. Vaulting pallets, in a weird way, could be more beneficial, if depending on how fast he is. And then, finally, we have the Iridescent Roberos Vial. Survivors start the trial infected with a Roberos. Survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 30 seconds when they reach maximum infection. So that's kind of very much like the Iridescent videotape for Onryo, where they start with a videotape, they will start infected, and survivors suffer from the exposed status effect for 30 seconds when reaching maximum infection. So that could be really good when you pair it with another infection add-on to kind of seek that out of survivors. So that, I definitely think that might be the stronger, although maybe not. I think that he might have two quite decent Iri add-ons, which is nice to see. Right then.
Let's finish this.
Okay, no, that's sick. That's sick.